Oh, I wanted to say something about why I chose the World English Bible translation as opposed to other possible translations to narrate. Um, the World English Bible is in the public domain, first and foremost, and so in the public domain, I can freely use it for this purpose without requesting permission to do so. And so that's a big reason. But the other reason is that the World English translation is, or the World English Bible translation is a modern translation in readable English, um, as far as I'm concerned, in the limited use and research I've done on it so far. Also, what I was thinking to use were the Protestant translations, the ASV, American Standard Version 1901, or the Revised Version, or also known as the English Revised Version of 1895, both of which are in the public domain. But when I was reading from those, I sensed that the the style of the writing was a little difficult to understand for a modern listener, myself included, without sitting there and studying line by line. And so, if I was going to read those versions, I thought maybe possible private reading with my eyes would be better than simply listening along. And so, um, if I was walking around trying to listen to the scriptures, or even just going somewhere quiet and listening to them, uh, if I didn't really want to sit there and study and read along each passage, um, it just would have been more difficult in that way. And But what I liked about those versions from so long ago, over 100 years ago, was that they used a word-for-word translation philosophy, and um, and from what I could tell from comparisons I conducted on the on one of my apps with other translations that are trustworthy, I found them to be very accurate. And since the World English Bible is based off those, um, specifically the American Standard Version of 1901, which itself is based on the Revised English Version of 1895 and earlier. Um, since those were its predecessors, I thought the World English Bible was worth investigating. And in my investigation, which again is very limited, so far it seems really good. Um, Maybe if it's guilty so far of anything, it seems to be a little too literal, as in one of the passages of Timothy, instead of the words bishop and deacon, which are offices of the Catholic Church, and traditionally translated as those titles, the World English Bible seems to translate them overseer and uh, servant, which is exactly what bishops and deacons are. A bishop is, I think is it episcopi or episcope, which means to oversee, and diakonos, which is for deacon, but literally translated it means servant. So that's very interesting that they took the very literal path. So I thought that was I I thought for a second, I was like, as a Catholic, I read that and I was like, well, that's interesting. But when I really thought about it, using that literal sense of the scriptures, while it might obscure some of the historic aspects of how things were translated, and I don't know if that applies to other passages too, but that was just one example when I was looking into it. I thought that actually might end up being helpful in the long run, over the course of reading it, because having that literal a translation could be very useful in studying, um, or at least referencing what the Greek and the Hebrew and possibly Aramaic would have said. So I actually ended up seeing that as a positive. Um, but as a Catholic, I cannot officially endorse the translation that I'm recording, because that kind of official endorsement comes from bishops' conferences, according to canon law. I think after 1983. So, and prior to that, it would have been from a local ordinary, or I don't know, perhaps even the Vatican or somewhere. But at any rate, yeah, I can't give it a formal endorsement, but I'm just saying that privately, I really like it so far, and I respect the versions it was derived from, the earlier versions, the revised version of 1895 and the American Standard Version of 1901, both of which are available on the website where I got the World English Bible from. So I just think that's a great work of charity to open the Bible more and more to the public. And then I thought perhaps on my own initiative I would record that for audio. Just like I think I posted this in the other video, just that listening to the scriptures is very beneficial. So, because people sometimes are on the go, or they don't feel as committed to reading. But listening and audiobooks has really opened up. I mean, it did for me. It really opened up the scriptures and other important Christian spiritual writings to me over the years. So I thought I would do that as a work of charity to extend the benefit and blessing of this public domain scripture. So anyway, I think that's enough for now to kind of convey my thoughts, but I wanted to post these videos so that you could have an idea where I was in my mindset when I was recording them. And yeah, there you have it. Okay, have a nice day. Thanks for listening and watching.